It's been so many years since I initially played Sonic Colors that my memory is pretty clouded about how I felt about it when I first played it. But I believe I liked it for the most part. Excuse my hair, I need to retwist. I haven't really got my hair done in like 2 months, so I'm just doing this at like 1 a.m. It's 1:05. You answer that? I was at my local game store just browsing Wii games to do a video on and saw they had Sonic Colors on the shelf and I couldn't help myself but to get it. Plus it was only like $10, so why not? Side note, can we talk about how Nintendo slacked a lot in caring about presentation? The disc graphics were designed so nicely and I don't know what this is in the middle. I hope it's not some pirated shit or something. I also miss having games come with manuals and posters. I think they were a nice incentive. The manuals were filled with tips and instructions and facts about the game and characters. And I liked how they always showed you upcoming games too, but we're not going to talk about this one specifically. Like, look at the Switch cases compared to this. A few controls on the inside and a small SD card. Honestly, they wasted so much plastic with these cases. They could easily make them the size of DS cases, but whatever. Sonic Colors development started in 2008, fresh off the release of Sonic Unleashed. And after receiving backlash about the Warhawk stages, they made sure to make Sonic the only playable character this time. I'm gonna make a Sonic Unleashed video one day too, because I'm actually currently playing it, funny enough. But even though they received backlash about the Warhawk stage, they did bring back the boost mechanic that was initially showed in Unleashed. This time around though, you receive a boost from collecting the white wisps, that's it, they're kinda weird. Or Tillish blue, because they definitely have that blue look to them in cutscenes. Wisps were the new creature, the wisps were the new creatures introduced in Sonic Colors. There's 7 of them and they obviously represent the Chaos Emeralds. The white wisps for boost, I ain't gonna lie, I'm just finna say the colors. Yellow is the drill, purple is frenzy, green is laser, pink is spike, orange is rocket, and blue is cube. I actually like the concept of wisp, but from my memory, I don't think they ever brought them back, or at least, made a reference to them. I loaded the game up and got hit with a beautifully rendered intro. When you think about it, Sega really doesn't miss when it comes to those rendered intros. Also, that opening menu screen is just great. I love the colors and watching the wisps just dance around Sonic with that well orchestrated music. Y'all gotta admit, no matter how bad or good a Sonic game is, they know how to make a crazy soundtrack. I started the game and thought I was tripping because it took me straight into the levels, no cutscenes or nothing. I said my memory was pretty clouded for the most part when it came to this game, but I could have sworn Sonic games at least have an opening cutscene. Correct me if I'm wrong now. I even went back to make sure that turning the navigator off didn't mess with the game, but it was the same result, straight into the level. After the second act, the cutscene finally kicked in. It felt so weird for them to do an intro stage before establishing the story in a sense. They may have did this before, but I can't think of any games that did at this moment. But we see that Sonic and Tails arrive at Eggman Land trying to figure out what's his plan this time, but get their attention drawn in another direction with 2 robots chasing wisps. These 2 are Eggman's new henchmen, Orbot and Cubot. And I'll be honest, I kinda like them in this game. I think they played off each other well. They really give off that early season SpongeBob and Patrick kind of vibe. But I can't be the only one that thought that, because they were eventually brought back with the Sonic Boom cartoon show. Look, if I'm keeping it 100, the Sonic Boom show wasn't that bad. Was it just flat out hilarious? No. But it definitely had its moments. So Sonic ends up saving the wisp from Cubot and Orbot and ends up getting possessed by the laser wisp. I'm putting possessed in air quotes because I can't think of another word for being forcibly controlled. And after that, we go through the typical go through the stages and collect the wisps/emeralds thing. Surprisingly though, most of the stages were really short, like a minute 30 and under kind of short. But also some of them were unnecessarily long too. To me, there weren't really any bad worlds, except for one. I think my favorite one had to have been Planet Wisp because the design and music was just flat out amazing. And the world I hated the most had to be the aquarium world. My goodness, dude. Now I know damn near every Sonic game has a water aspect to it, but in Aquarium Act 6, I believe, 90% of the fucking level was underwater. It was so drawn out and boring to me playing that. The boss was okay, but it was just basically a repeat of Sweet Mountain. Oh yeah, that's another thing. The bosses in this game were so underwhelming and repetitive. They used the Ferris wheel one twice, just reskinned it. Sweet Mountain and Aquarium was the same boss, just reskinned. The ship bosses were the same, just reskinned. I feel like that's one of the biggest downsides of Colors in my opinion. They weren't terrible bosses, but like I said, they were just boring and repetitive. But I ain't gonna lie, I did like the final boss. It was pretty decent. Also, another downside of this game is how terribly the cutscenes aged. Man, now that I've gotten older, a lot of these lines were really tough watches. And I think this was the first game Roger Craig Smith was introduced as Sonic's new voice actor, and man, it sounded kinda bad. I don't think he sounds bad as Sonic in general. I think as some time passed, I think he got more adjusted to the character and started to sound more natural. Or maybe I just got used to it now, I don't know. It's just crazy how damn near every one-liner fell flat on his face, and I was just left sitting in my chair shaking my head. And not only just the one-liners, the over-explain the joke thing wasn't funny to me either.
Hey, did somebody here order a clobbering? Are you sure? It says somebody ordered an extra large clobbering topped with everything. Okay. Tell you what, I can't take this thing back, so I'll give you an extra large clobbering for nothing. Hope you're hungry.
I know their target audience probably wasn't a 25-year-old man, but in my opinion, I feel like you should have lines that's bearable between kids and adults. Prime example, I know it's not a game, even though they have a game, I just feel like this is some media that's good for all ages. Shrek. But yeah, back to the worlds. I really like the design of Asteroid Coaster, but man, that world was brutal to me. I don't think I got anything over a C in that world. Bro, on Act 4 of Asteroid Coaster, I legit thought that level was an insanity test because of how many laps I was doing. I had to look up the level to make sure I wasn't losing my mind, but apparently there was a button I was supposed to press. I mean, come on, dude. That button is so easy to miss. I would have been on that level for like 10 minutes if I didn't look that up. I didn't like it. Sorry. Regardless of that though, I actually really enjoy playing the game a lot. I honestly can see myself playing this again just because. Now I'll be real, I will always like the boost aspect of Sonic, but I know that's a mixed feeling amongst the community. I also feel like the drift was tuned better in this game. But hey, that's my opinion, cause in Unleashed that shit was like sliding with socks on a marble floor. There aren't many extras in this game except things like the Sonic Simulator where you can play through the X to get all the emeralds and unlock Super Sonic. To get more X you have to collect more red rings. To be honest, you're probably not going to enjoy Super Sonic like that because most of the stages are short or just void of rings. Also, I kind of knew Sonic Colors wasn't just the longest game, but you know, I was kind of surprised about how short it was too. If you're running just straight through, even though I had a few game overs, if you just running straight through, you can finish the game in like 3.5, 4 hours maybe tops. Because I didn't go for any of the red rings. Well, I went for a few of them, but you know, I just wasn't trying to get all of them. I finished the game in about 4 hours and like 5 minutes, 4 hours and 4 minutes, somewhere around that time. Now, I don't feel like it's a perfect game. I honestly think it's a good 7.5 to 8 out of 10. It's a fun game though, I'll give it that, but there's just aspects that could have been polished.